So this is where we left off. We were in Photoshop. We saved out our subject as a PSD file. Let's go into Safari and actually go to Photopea. Now, if you already have Photoshop at home, you don't need to use Photopea. You can X out of this. So it kind of looks like Photoshop. File open. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's go to Documents, Illustration 2, which is actually this one here. Photoshop, Photopea, Low Poly Portrait. Let's do the PSD file, upload, and that should open up our file in Photopea. I'm actually in Photopea right now. It looks like Safari, but I'm actually in Photopea. So it looks a little different in here, but it's actually pretty close to Photoshop. Let me move this over. So if I do Command plus, I can zoom in, and we can do the same thing that we did before in here. So we just need to find the polyagonal lasso tool, and we can create triangles. So the only difference with this is it's a little bit more freeform. We aren't going to have the guides set up. So if we go to Filter, Blur Average, we can still make our triangles. Command D on the keyboard still works. We might be able to do actions here and create an action as well. Before I start anything, let's draw a triangle. Oops. Draw a triangle here. Make sure it closes. Go into actions. So make sure you have your triangle drawn before you try to make an action in Photopea. So make sure you have your active selection, and then let's do the record button here. It looks a little different. Oh yeah, we gotta create our action set first. Action set, let's name it Low Poly. And then let's make an action in that. It's called LP. Okay. And okay. So let's go ahead and record. And let's go to Filter, 3D, no, Blur, Average, and then Command D. And then let's push the stop button. And let's see if I can get this working. I think you just push play and it'll work. Make sure you're on the LP though when you do it. It's quite a bit different in, and let's zoom in on our canvas. So push play. As you can see, I have gaps, so I'm going to have to redraw these to make them look a little bit better, but it's easy enough to do. Oops, that one didn't connect. It's a little bit more finicky in Photopea, but it's doable. One thing about Photopea is it's a completely free online software, so you're going to have to save really often. So if you do a file, save as PSD, that'll save a PSD file in your folder, in your downloads folder. And do that every like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, just in case, you don't want to lose a bunch of your work. So, at least that way you're not losing more than 2 to 5 minutes at a time. I know that seems a little bit clunky, but honestly, you're going to be happy that you did it. You're going to be happy that you saved all those versions. And so over the weekend, if you don't have Photoshop, if you have Photoshop, just continue forward like we did in the last video. But if you don't have Photoshop, go ahead and open up your PSD file. You're going to have to email it to yourself, and go ahead and open up your PSD file in Photopea and work on your project. Get your subject basically done. At least if you have an animal, you're probably just going to be doing half of the face. If you have a person and you're feeling more ambitious, then you'll do the whole face. and bring your, save as a PSD out of Photopea and bring that to class on the next time we meet. So I'm actually in Photoshop and I have that PSD that I downloaded from Photopea, and I can open it in Photoshop. And as you can see, those new lines are those new triangles are there. I think we probably could get the grid to work in Photopea as well if we just went to View, let's see, View, Show, Grid. Yeah, you can see a grid there. I'm not quite sure if that will work very well or not, but don't worry about using the grid in Photopea. But in Photoshop, once you bring it back in, you can see the grid. So one thing you'll have to do if you cut your image in half, you're going to have to create a copy of this half of the face. So let's drag it over the plus icon down here next to the trash can. We made a copy, and as you can see, oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong tool. If we go to the Move tool, we can actually drag that out. And with that layer selected, that new layer, the copy of the original selected, we can go to Edit, Transform, Flip, Horizontal. And we can actually line this up down the middle. And it creates kind of a different looking image. I mean, obviously mine's not complete. I didn't do the whole thing in triangles. One thing that will help too is if we go to View, Show, Grid, and uncheck that, you can see it a little bit better. It makes a perfectly symmetrical animal, which is fine. If you did this with a person, it might look a little goofy, so definitely only do this with an animal. You could try it with a person, I guess, and see how it goes, but I kind of suggest maybe not doing that. Of course, you still have your original down here that you can work from, so if, that's good just in case if you do have a human and you tried doing this method and you didn't like it, then you can always bring back in the other half of the face easily and work on the other half of the face that you haven't triangulated yet. So anyway, when you're done, I would like you to File, Save As, just save out a version of this in your Documents, put it in your Illustration 2 folder, and I'm actually going to name this Low Poly Portrait, and maybe put my name in the front of the file like that. I want the PSD file, save that, and yeah, that's what I want for a grade in Brightspace by the due date.